the Glen Armentor Law Corporation.
Tonight on Blue Mondays. First up, by popular request, we take a look back and give you a preview as to how to vote on the new voting machines. Then we spend the rest of our half hour with candidate Bobby Badon. He's running for state rep of House District 39. All this and more on this Blue Mondays for September 3rd, 2007.
When the voter enters the booth, they will see lights where they are voting. On each race they will vote on, there will be a light. You press the selection you desire and look down, and you will see the candidate you've chosen. You go to the next race that's lit up. You select this candidate. You'll be shown the candidate you voted for. Go to the next race. You'll be shown the candidate you voted for, and you must go to the right bottom of the machine and press the Cast Vote button for your vote to count. And after you do that, it shows you vote is recorded and thanks you for voting. To demonstrate, if you vote for John Adams, as is marked here, it shows you voted for John Adams, and you've decided that that's not the person you want to vote to. You simply deselect John Adams. It'll show you that that's canceled, and you vote for the person you want to vote for.
This is Bobby Badon. I'm returning a phone call. How did I know your birthday? Who am I speaking to?
Earlier this week, I sat down with candidate Bobby Badon at his office in Carencro. I had a few questions for him, and here's how our conversation went.
Well, happy birthday. That's me.
So you're running for State House of Representatives.
Yes, Stephen, I'm running for state representative, and the reason I'm running is I want to be part of this new change that Louisiana is making, and I felt that my knowledge with the Carencro City Council and as my business here has really given me the experience to spread out to my district, and we need some changes, we need some help, and I'm wanting to do that for my people. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was there from 72 to 74. I was in the Navy, and out of high school I worked for a company just for a short while, and that's when the draft was implemented, and we were going to be drafted, and I didn't want to go in the Army, just not to go to Vietnam, and incidentally I was on the draft lottery, so I joined. I took a major step, but I've learned a lot from it. Stayed there 4 years active in the Navy and 2 years inactive. And when I was honorably discharged in the year 1974, I came back and I piddled around for a little while, took a little break, and I met my wife then through some friends, and we started dating, and we were married not too very long after that.
Meet your wife.
We were over at my apartment, and we had some friends, and we were watching maybe a Super Bowl, and for some reason there was some girls that showed up, and I was really kind of shocked that we hit it off so well, but it was a wise choice for me. They were really trying to fix me up with somebody else, but it didn't work. At least that's what my wife said. She really wasn't there to be with me, but it was something.
Outstanding.
And
Outstanding.
I'm glad I made the choice that I am today, that I have today.
That's great. So how long have you been married?
We've been married 31 years.
Outstanding.
We have 2 kids, Brian, which is 30 years old, and a daughter, Shelly, which is going to be 25 years old here. And we got 2 grandkids, Brock and Brittany, and we have one on the way with our daughter, Shelly, and son-in-law, Lane Bernard.
Outstanding.
Well, first of all, I have to thank my wife for allowing me the commitment that she has allowed me to commit myself, because it takes a lot of my spare time away from the family time, and so I'm having to rely on some of my family members to help me also. And it appears that even though we don't have quality time in the backyard chilling per se, we do spend a lot of time at the headquarters now, and we're just dedicating our spare time to a new endeavor. And I like their support, and they're committed to help me, and I appreciate that very much of them. I was working for a company in Carencro that when I went to work for them as outside sales, I really helped develop that company. In 2 years' time, they were doing twice the amount of sales per month than they were accustomed to doing, and I attribute my hard work to help that company get off the ground. Then they didn't need an outside salesman anymore, and I could read between the line. And so my father was passing away with cancer, and so we had to tend to that. And we brothers would take turns sleeping with my dad, and I started to talk to my other brothers about me wanting to branch out on my own. And I was able to borrow $1,500 from one of my brothers, and I told him what I could do with it. And after my father passed away, April Fool's Day, I'll never forget it, I gave my notice to my boss and said I'm going in business for myself. And I need the carport of our house. We started, and now we do over $3 million a year. Now I don't need a carport anymore on a large facility on I-49 North, but in Carencro. That is correct. My first employee was my wife, and she didn't get much of a paycheck. And so we laugh about it, but neither did I. You know, we had to figure out what it took to pay our bills per month, and we had to make sure we would get at least that amount of money. And I sat my two children down, and I said, Brian and Shelley, don't ask Mom and Daddy for very much, because the answer is no before we start. We have to make this thing grow. And that's the way it started. I would sell in the daytime, and I would make parts at nighttime. And many times my wife had to pick my boy up from school, and they'd do homework at the office while she answered phones and trimmed rubber products. And we just kept going and kept going. Even though we'd stumble sometime, we looked like it was the end of the road, we did it. Well, my wife and I in 2002 took a 14-day trip to Canada. Carencro twinned with a little city called Dieppe, and we were the first ones to go there and put on an actual Mardi Gras parade. And my wife and I chose to drive there because we had to bring black iron pots and skillets and Mardi Gras gowns over there to Canada, and everybody else flew. So my wife and I took the leisure of getting the truck and the camper, and we drove it, and it's a 5,000-mile round trip. And we had to bring the festivity pots and pans and beads and gowns and everything. And when I got back, I was invited to a fundraiser for the Carencro season ticket holders. And when I went there, they were telling me that, hey, the people that are running, we can't have that. And I was more or less talked into it, because they told me, you need to run, you have our support, and we need somebody like you to turn our city around. And next morning I was picked up, brought over to the clerk of court's office, paid my $100, and I'm twice elected, and we have done a tremendous job in our city of Carencro. There was many things when I won. First week or two in there, we took notes, and I gathered several things that needed to be corrected. First things first, I've always said a business without a general manager will probably go down, since everyone will just do what they want to do. And the first thing I wanted to see was a full-time mayor. We had equipment that was broken, obsolete, We had to rent equipment from the local rental people, backhoes and tractors and things of that sort, because ours were not functional. No money to repair it. Since that time, we've had to amend the budget several times, but we have replaced every piece of equipment in our utility department in Carencro. It's all brand new now. It has maintenance records for any of our residents to inspect at any given time. We have a sandbag machine to bag our own sands in case of high water and flooding. We never had. That is just one of the ways that our utility department was improved. The old administration had started on the community center, had got funding for it, but there was not enough funds. So the new administration had to amend the budget and had to pull a few other strings to get enough money to complete our community center. But we had the insight to see the vision that this community would impact our community, this community center would impact our community strongly, and it has done just that. Since that time, we have got a brand new police department. We have a new 9/11 responding centers there. We have state-of-the-art library that we're going to hold the grand opening on September 30th, 2007. We've got sidewalks around our city now we didn't have before. Our sales tax revenues are up. That is after losing the controversial Lowe's and our racetrack. Our new Veterans Boulevard that started in the previous administration 20 years ago was had a dream for it, and it's a reality now. And people in general walk on the street and wave, and you could see the happiness and the word I'm thinking about is the positive outlook that they have, and the general well-receptive city council that we have in place now. That's exactly what we did. We rolled up our sleeves and went to work. And we're not finished. We're far from it. But I believe the key people that are in there now did a wonderful job to get Carencro to where it is now. That's correct. We have other municipalities within my District 39 that some of their council people are not working together. And there's a big lack of communication between the representatives and the senators in the areas. And we could be doing more for our District 39. But when you don't pull in the same direction, progress stops. And we have that in some of the local municipalities that are there now. They are not working with their mayors, and I have seen that on both sides, in Carencro with the previous administration and in their city council chambers here recently at some of the local municipalities that I have visited. And I hope to help change that and put everybody on the same keel, in the same direction, on the same sidewalk per se, all moving in the same direction to have the same goal in common, and that's for turning their city around. You know, if we would have someone in Baton Rouge who could turn around and meet with our city people and tell us what's available, tell us what they are working on, tell us what they could foresee in the future, they could make plans themselves. I'm talking about like the council people and the mayors. They could make plans ahead by saying, well, listen, our representative or our senator is working on this for us. We have no way of knowing this at this particular point. And it's like we should be in touch more with Baton Rouge. And Baton Rouge should be doing more for our district than what we're getting now. And we're just not getting our fair share. Well, first things first, when I win this race, I will be only one person, and I can only do so much. And I will have to get to know the other representatives and one-on-one get them to the side and just explain to he or she that our district needs this very, very bad because we need this to move forward. We are a very small district, and I believe I've got the personality to gain over someone else to help and to talk for my district. And I feel I can do that because I talk to my people here in my business, and it's not because I am the owner or the boss here. Is that it's the way I talk to them, the way I ask them. You have to ask before you receive. The first thing that the next representative should do, which I plan on doing, is education. We will need to stay on top of education because education is key to our future. Our drop-off rate is extremely high, and those people who drop out, they have nowhere to go. And when a person knows only a certain limited amount of information, that is all that person can do. They're limited on what their future can do for them. And if we had a way of expanding their knowledge, taking those dropouts and offering them some kind of school that could show them a trade, we could rescue some of those students. And we just don't have enough trade schools and schools of that sort. There's many students that graduate from college with $30,000 to $40,000 student loans that they leave the state to go and work to pay that off. Well, we've got students that graduate even though they would be C students or maybe some C borderline or D students that would like to go to college but cannot afford it because they would have to work. And once you have to work a 40-hour week to fund your college degree, there's many times the students would get disgusted and just quit because it was too hard or with the long work hours. And so our government should put a program in place that when our students graduate, they should not have to leave the state to pay off that $30,000 to $40,000 of tuition student loan. That there's few programs, the TOPS and a few other programs now, but we should have additional programs. And it's a proven fact that once they leave the state, less than 10% come back. And so if we can keep them here 4 years to 5 years, chances are they will have grown roots, married, have children. Chances are they will stay here, but they won't come back. Right. That is correct. I want my children to grow and work where we grew and worked. And I think that is the general consensus of every resident over here, because when you can see your grandkids once a week, twice a week, or if you live in the yard next door on a daily basis, it's much, much easier in life than having to go every 6 months to drive 3 or 4 hours away. It means a lot. And you know, the revenues with all of the students graduating and staying here, the revenues would be higher in for us, and they would have more tax basis for our roads and school boards and our schools and things of that sort.
It surely makes sense.
Once the education gets put in place, once we can cure that once and for all and have regular money coming in, then the jobs will be there. People will come on interviews and all of the applications will be filled out in detail, where right now a lot of students can't fill out applications. A lot of students cannot balance a checkbook. A lot of students now don't have good credit because they never knew how to establish credit. I would like to see a class in the 12th grade somehow put how to prepare our students to exit high school and familiarize themselves with what life has got to deal them. And that would include how going on an interview, how to show up to work on time, how to balance a checkbook, how to go from point A to point B, how to get along with others, how to volunteer for civic organizations and volunteer for nonprofit organizations. There's just not enough of that anymore. Insurance. My golly. Insurance is the worst nightmare since the two Category 5 hurricanes, because that's the residue from the hurricanes. Our insurance has doubled. Not just business insurance, personal homeowners, vehicle insurance, property and casualty insurance has doubled. That's not right. Our senior citizens who are on limited income, when they've got to make a difference, they've got to choose between medication and food or insurance, they usually have to let the insurance go because that's one of the items that they just cannot afford. When I go to Baton Rouge, I will fight with the insurance companies to lower insurance rates for all of our constituents, and also on behalf of our senior citizens, for the insurance companies to give our senior citizens an additional discount if they are on limited income, because they just cannot afford the high cost of insurance. Our roads, as we all know, are very, very in deplorable condition. We have no funds from the state or the federal to repair our primary rural roads. And those are tax-paying citizens as well as tax-paying citizens on state roads. We need dedicated funds. We need a separate account that we can deposit money on a monthly basis, where we'll have money from here on out dedicated strictly for roads and infrastructure. Roads, drainage, bridges, whatever we need. They proposed it, it failed, but when I get to Baton Rouge, I will pick this issue up again and try to push this through. And it's not, and I repeat, it is not an additional tax. It's a tax we are already paying, but it goes to our Louisiana general fund and it gets lost. We are already paying this tax. Instead of going to the general fund, it would be removed from the general fund and go directly back to the municipalities of where the person resides in. For an example, if you buy a vehicle in New Orleans or Shreveport, when you give your 705 zip code or wherever it's going to be, that 4% sales tax that goes on that vehicle will be rerouted back to your district, to your municipality, where you, the council and the mayor, could use this money to overlay roads, repair roads. No one knows their districts better than the local residents. It's not up to the states or the federal to come and say you need to do this road here. We know our roads. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to go and represent District 39 in Baton Rouge, and we all need to work very hard at doing this. I am a very hard, dedicated worker, and I want to go to Baton Rouge for you, to work and represent you. And October 20th, I need your support. Please send me to Baton Rouge, and the only thing I can promise you is I will work very, very, very hard for you, in your favor. Allons tous travailler ensemble et pas faire la vieille politique.